everybody, this is Frankie Abbruzzino with the Uncensored Report, and I want to talk a little bit about Sweden. I was just reading this report, which I'll cover in a minute, basically talking about how they accepted 162,000 refugees in 2015, and they analyzed how many of them have jobs. And coincidentally, it comes out at the same time when President Trump is having all this issues with the media, and they're saying, "Oh, look at Trump, he's lying. Oh, he's saying fake stuff." Is he really, though? And I think it was Chuck Todd that came out and said, "Look, I scrubbed all the news. I couldn't find anything." Oh, really, Chuck? So here's the problem, folks. He couldn't find anything because news isn't reporting on it. He couldn't find anything because the government of Sweden, just like many European countries, is sitting on the information. They're essentially coming down hard on their different entities out there, telling them not to put it out the information. In some countries, they can't even distinguish which culture or which culture they are. They can't say this was a Swedish guy or this was a guy from Somalia. They've made that basically illegal. People that are coming out in Sweden, they had a cop come out and said, "I've had it. That's enough. I can't take anymore. These are all immigrants. These are the issues we're having." This is like 2-3 weeks ago. Next thing you know, they're trying to push charges and arrest the guy for coming out and disclosing it. There's a popular blogger that's an American journalist over there, and she's blogging about it too. And she's like, "It's amazing. I'll sit here and I'll hear about information. I'll see information out there. I'll talk to the people that were associated with it, yet it doesn't appear in the papers." So, it's funny that these major media uses this propaganda where they'll sit there and say, "Oh, yeah, Trump, what a joke. We're checking papers all over the place. Can't find anything. The guy's an idiot." Really? Shame on major media. There is an immigrant crisis there in Europe. I've seen it firsthand. And some of the questions that have to be asked is, you're bringing these refugees in. You're bringing them to your homeland. You're trying to help them out. A lot of them are just idiots. And they set their camps on fire because they don't have Wi-Fi. But you bring them in and you want to know, or I'm starting to wonder, and I was wondering in the beginning, can these guys ever function? Can they function as Europeans? Can they function as Americans? And this report took Sweden, and they looked at the country because they've taken in the most refugees on a per capita basis. And they looked at 2015, where they took in 162,000 refugees. And they wanted to know, have they assimilated? Are they trying to assimilate? Are they trying to find jobs? Are they trying to find houses? Are they trying to learn the language? And they found out that no, they're basically not. And if you look at the jobs alone, out of 162,000 refugees, only 494 now have jobs. And despite the fact that the majority of these refugees are qualified to receive work permits within Sweden. Because that's the other thing. A lot of people say, "Oh, the refugees, they can't work." No, they can't. They can. And there are some barriers, like Germany. Germany said, "You know what? Let's get rid of the minimum wage issue when refugees come into town. That way they can find work." Because people were saying, "Well, if we're going to do minimum wage, we're going to hire more qualified individuals." The other issues, I know with Syrian. I watched a documentary where Syrians go into Lebanon and they can't work. They're not allowed to work. So they become prostitutes. So I get that there's barriers. But in this case, the majority of the refugees are qualified. Sweden's giving them work permits, and they can go out and get jobs. And with those work permits, less than 1 out of every 100 migrants has a job. And this is a widespread problem. It's not just Sweden, it's throughout Europe. And I don't know if there's any end in sight. And the same holds true for the United States. A lot of these guys are going on the welfare rolls. And like I said, some countries look for solutions, like Germany. Germany said, "Look, here's the problem. We got minimum wage laws. They're not going to hire these refugees. We need to get rid of them." And that's the issue too with the illegals. The illegals come in the United States through the southern border, and they work off the clock as illegals, and people get away with not paying a minimum wage. So with these refugees, either they're going to be jobless, or they're turning out to be a huge strain on the welfare system. They're resentful of the societies because they're stuck down in this hole that they just can't get out of in these welfare societies. Plus, a lot of these different cultures, You know, the Germans, I know in Italy, they look down at these migrants. They don't want them there. And they're dealing with that. And they finally come to realize, hey, we're just going to be working pennies for the dollar here. They're the permanent underclass, and they didn't expect that. In Syria, I'm sure a lot of these girls that go to Lebanon didn't expect to become prostitutes because they're looked down upon by the Lebanese. They're dependent. A lot of these guys are dependent, and gals are dependent upon government. There's no motivation to go out there and accept the European, United States, the Western values. No incentive to go out and learn a new language. No incentive to go out and get a job. Well, it's trying times out there, folks. But this has been Frankie Aberzino with the Uncensored Report.